The discovery. Dr. Samantha Chen stared at the monitor, her eyes wide with disbelief. The signal pulsed steadily, its rhythm unlike anything she'd ever seen before. After years of searching the cosmos for signs of extraterrestrial intelligence, HFY had finally struck gold. "Holy shit," she whispered, her hands trembling as she reached for her phone. "We found them." Within hours, the modest research facility in New Mexico was swarming with government officials, military personnel, and fellow scientists. The air crackled with excitement and apprehension as Dr. Chen presented her findings to the hastily assembled group. "The signal originates from a star system approximately 40 light-years away," she explained, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "It's clearly artificial and follows a mathematical sequence that couldn't occur naturally." A gruff-looking general leaned forward, his brow furrowed. "And you're certain this isn't some kind of hoax or misinterpretation?" Dr. Chen shook her head emphatically. "No, sir. We've run every conceivable test and verification process. This is real." The room erupted into a cacophony of voices, each person trying to be heard over the others. Questions flew rapid-fire. What did the message say? Were the aliens hostile? How should humanity respond? As the clamor grew, a tall, distinguished man in a crisp suit stood up, commanding immediate silence. It was the President of the United States, who had flown in secretly upon hearing the news. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, his voice calm but tinged with awe, "we stand at the precipice of the most significant moment in human history. Our next steps will determine the course of our species' future. We must proceed with caution, wisdom, and above all, unity." He turned to Dr. Chen. "Doctor, I want you to assemble a team of the world's best linguists, mathematicians, and scientists. Your mission is to decipher this message, and if possible, craft a response." Dr. Chen nodded, her mind already racing with possibilities. "Yes, Mr. President. We'll need access to the most advanced computing systems available." "You'll have whatever you need," the President assured her. "General Matthews will oversee security and provide any necessary resources." As the meeting adjourned, Dr. Chen found herself pulled aside by a slender, bespectacled man she recognized as Dr. Hikaru Tanaka, a renowned cynobiologist. "Dr. Chen," he said, his eyes gleaming with excitement, "I've been theorizing about potential alien biology for years. If you'd allow me to join your team, I believe I could offer valuable insights into how their physiology might influence their communication methods." Samantha smiled, grateful for the offer. "Absolutely, Dr. Tanaka. We need all the expertise we can get." Over the next few weeks, the facility transformed into a hive of activity. The world's brightest minds converge, working tirelessly to unlock the secrets of the alien message. Governments around the globe were briefed, and an unprecedented level of international cooperation emerged as humanity united in the face of this momentous discovery. Dr. Chen barely slept, fueled by a mixture of caffeine and sheer determination. She and her team pored over the signal, analyzing every nuance and variation. Slowly but surely, patterns began to emerge. "It's not just a single message," she explained during one of the daily briefings. "It's a repeating sequence of information packets. We believe it contains mathematical constants, simple chemical formulas, and what might be rudimentary imagery." Dr. Tanaka chimed in, his excitement palpable. "The chemical formulas are particularly interesting. They seem to be describing amino acids, the building blocks of life. It's as if they're trying to establish a common biological foundation for communication." The President nodded thoughtfully. "So they're reaching out peacefully, trying to find common ground." "It appears so," Dr. Chen confirmed. "But we can't be certain. Cultural misunderstandings could still pose significant risks." As the team made progress in decoding the message, the question of how to respond loomed large. World leaders debated the pros and cons of revealing humanity's existence to the cosmos. Some argued for caution, fearing the potential dangers of alerting a potentially hostile alien civilization to Earth's location. Others pushed for openness, seeing this as an unprecedented opportunity for advancement and cooperation. In the end, the decision was made to respond. The team, led by Dr. Chen, worked tirelessly to craft a message that would convey humanity's peaceful intentions while also demonstrating our scientific and cultural achievements. The day of transmission arrived, and a palpable tension filled the air. Dr. Chen stood before the antenna array, her finger hovering over the button that would send humanity's greeting into the cosmos. "Ready?" she asked, looking around at her team. They nodded, their faces a mixture of excitement and apprehension. With a deep breath, Dr. Chen pressed the button. The message, a carefully constructed sequence of mathematical concepts, basic scientific principles, and imagery representing Earth and its inhabitants, began its journey across the stars. "Now we wait," she said softly. The following months were a whirlwind of activity. As news of the alien signal leaked to the public, the world reacted with a mixture of wonder, fear, and hope. Religions grappled with the implications of extraterrestrial life, while governments scrambled to prepare for every possible scenario. Dr. Chen found herself thrust into the spotlight, giving interviews and testifying before world leaders. She stressed the importance of remaining open-minded and cautious, reminding everyone that true communication with an alien civilization would likely be a slow, complex process. Then, exactly 1 year after their initial transmission, it happened. A new signal arrived, clearly in response to humanity's message. The team worked feverishly to decode it, and as the pieces fell into place, Dr. Chen felt a shiver run down her spine. The aliens had sent coordinates. They were inviting humanity to a face-to-face meeting. The coordinates pointed to a location in neutral space, roughly halfway between Earth and the alien homeworld. It was an olive branch, a gesture of trust that spoke volumes about their intentions. As Dr. Chen presented these findings to world leaders, a heated debate erupted. Should humanity accept this invitation? Was it safe? What if it was a trap? The president stood, silencing the room. "We've come too far to turn back now," he said firmly. "Humanity has dreamed of this moment for centuries. We will meet these beings, and we will do so with courage, wisdom, and an open hand of friendship." His words sparked a flurry of activity. The best minds in physics and engineering were recruited to develop a spacecraft capable of making the journey. Diplomats and linguists trained relentlessly, preparing for the challenges of communicating with a truly alien intelligence. Dr. Chen found herself at the heart of it all, working alongside brilliant scientists and visionary leaders. As the months passed and the launch date approached, she felt a growing sense of anticipation and purpose. The night before the mission was set to begin, she stood outside the launch facility, gazing up at the stars. The weight of responsibility was immense, but so was the potential for discovery and growth. A voice behind her broke her reverie. "Penny for your thoughts, Doctor." She turned to see the president, looking tired but determined. "Just contemplating our place in the universe, Mr. President," she replied with a small smile. "And hoping we're ready for whatever we find out there." He nodded, his eyes reflecting the starlight. "Humanity has faced countless challenges throughout our history, Dr. Chen. We've overcome them through ingenuity, courage, and our unique ability to adapt. Whatever awaits us among the stars, I believe we're ready to face it." As they stood there in companionable silence, a shooting star streaked across the sky, a fitting omen for the journey that lay ahead. The next morning, as the sun peeked over the horizon, Dr. Chen boarded the sleek spacecraft that would carry humanity's representatives to their rendezvous with destiny. As the engines roared to life and the ground fell away, she closed her eyes, whispering a quiet prayer for the success of their mission. Humanity had taken its first real step into the cosmic community. Whatever challenges or wonders awaited them, they would face them together, armed with curiosity, determination, and hope. The journey to first contact had begun. The encounter. The Starship Odyssey glided silently through the void, its sleek hull gleaming in the light of distant stars. On the bridge, Dr. Samantha Chen stood beside Captain Marcus Drake, her eyes fixed on the view screen before them. After months of travel, they had finally reached the coordinates provided by the alien transmission. "Anything on sensors, Lieutenant?" Captain Drake asked, his voice taut with anticipation. Lieutenant Sarah Takahashi shook her head. "Nothing yet, sir." "Wait." Her console suddenly lit up with activity. "I'm detecting a gravitational anomaly directly ahead. It's opening." Before their eyes, space itself seemed to ripple and tear. A swirling vortex of blue and white energy materialized, growing larger by the second. "It's some kind of artificial wormhole," Dr. Chen breathed, her scientific mind racing to comprehend what she was seeing. "Their technology is far beyond ours." Captain Drake's jaw tightened. "All hands, battle stations. Let's not take any chances." As the crew scrambled to their positions, a new signal came through their communication systems. Dr. Chen rushed to her console, fingers flying over the controls. "It's them," she announced, her voice trembling with excitement. "They're inviting us to follow them through the wormhole." The bridge fell silent as all eyes turned to Captain Drake. He stood motionless for a moment, the weight of humanity's future heavy on his shoulders. Finally, he nodded. "Take us in, Helm." "Nice and easy." The Odyssey inched forward, the swirling energy of the wormhole enveloping its hull. For a heart-stopping moment, the ship shuddered violently. Then, in the blink of an eye, they were through. A collective gasp echoed across the bridge. Before them lay a massive space station, its architecture unlike anything human eyes had ever seen. Organic curves melded seamlessly with crystalline structures, creating a breathtaking fusion of nature and technology. "My God," Captain Drake whispered, "it's beautiful." As they approached the station, a hangar bay opened, bathing the Odyssey in soft, welcoming light. With expert precision, the helmsman guided the ship into the cavernous space. Dr. Chen's heart raced as she made her way to the airlock with the rest of the diplomatic team. Years of training and preparation had led to this moment, yet nothing could have truly prepared them for what lay ahead. The airlock cycled, and with a soft hiss, the door slid open. Dr. Chen took a deep breath and stepped forward into history. The alien delegation waited a short distance away. Dr. Chen's scientific mind whirled as she took in their appearance. They were roughly humanoid in shape, standing on two legs with two upper limbs. But there the similarities ended. Their skin shimmered with an iridescent, almost translucent quality, and their large, multifaceted eyes regarded the humans with unmistakable intelligence and curiosity. One of the aliens stepped forward, raising a hand in what appeared to be a gesture of greeting. Dr. Chen mirrored the action, her heart pounding in her chest. "Greetings," she said, her voice steady despite her nerves. "We come in peace, seeking friendship and understanding." The alien tilted its head, then spoke. The sound that emerged was like nothing Dr. Chen had ever heard. A melodic series of clicks, whistles, and harmonic tones. Yet, somehow, she understood. "Welcome, children of Earth." The alien's words resonated in her mind. "We are the Zarquin. We have long awaited this day." Dr. Chen blinked in surprise. You speak our language." The Zarquin made a sound that might have been laughter. "Not exactly. We are communicating through a psionic translation field. Your thoughts are converted to our language, and ours to yours." Captain Drake stepped forward, his posture cautious but open. "On behalf of humanity, we thank you for this invitation. We have so many questions." "As do we," the Zarquin replied. "Come, there is much to discuss." As they followed their hosts deeper into the station, Dr. Chen couldn't help but marvel at the advanced technology surrounding them. Holographic displays flickered to life as they passed, showing star charts and complex equations that made even her brilliant mind reel. They were led to a large, circular chamber that seemed to be a combination of conference room and observatory. Through the transparent ceiling, a breathtaking view of the galaxy stretched out before them. The lead Zarquin, who introduced itself as Xanthor, gestured for them to be seated. As they settled into chairs that seemed to mold themselves to their bodies, Xanthor began to speak. "For millennia, we have watched your species from afar," it explained. "We have seen your struggles, your triumphs, your relentless drive to understand the universe around you. It is this curiosity, this indomitable spirit, that drew us to you." Dr. Chen leaned forward, fascinated. "You've been observing us. For how long?" "Since your earliest civilizations," Xanthor replied. "We have witnessed your evolution from primitive tribes to a spacefaring race. Your potential is remarkable." Captain Drake's eyes narrowed slightly. "If you've been watching us all this time, why choose to reveal yourselves now?" Xanthor's multifaceted eyes seemed to dim slightly. "Because the galaxy is changing, Captain. Ancient forces are stirring, and the balance of power is shifting. We believe that humanity has a crucial role to play in the events to come." A murmur ran through the human delegation. Dr. Chen felt a chill run down her spine. "What kind of events are we talking about?" Xanthor waved a hand, and the air above the table shimmered. A three-dimensional map of the galaxy materialized, with various regions highlighted in different colors. "For eons, the galactic community has maintained a delicate peace," Xanthor explained. "But a faction known as the Void Collective has begun to expand aggressively, conquering or destroying any civilizations that stand in their path." The map zoomed in on a region of space that pulsed with an ominous red glow. Dr. Chen watched in horror as entire star systems winked out of existence. "The collective believes in the superiority of synthetic life," Xanthor continued. "They seek to eradicate all organic beings, viewing us as inefficient and flawed." Captain Drake's face hardened. "And you think humanity can help stop them? With all due respect, our technology is far behind yours. What could we possibly offer in a conflict of this scale?" Xanthor's eyes seemed to sparkle with an emotion Dr. Chen couldn't quite identify. Was it hope? Amusement? "Captain Drake, Dr. Chen, esteemed humans," Xanthor said, its mental voice filled with warmth. "What you fail to realize is that technology alone does not determine the outcome of conflicts. Your species possesses qualities that are rare and precious in this universe." The alien gestured towards the holographic display, which now showed scenes from human history. Moments of incredible bravery, compassion, and ingenuity in the face of overwhelming odds. Your adaptability, your creativity, your ability to find solutions where none seem to exist. These are your true strengths, Xanthor explained. "We have seen your people overcome disasters, unite in the face of common threats, and achieve the impossible through sheer determination." Dr. Chen felt a swell of pride as she watched the display. Humanity's flaws were many, but their capacity for greatness was undeniable. "Moreover," Xanthor continued, "your species has a unique relationship with synthetic intelligence. Unlike many races, you view your AI creations not as mere tools, but as potential partners and even friends. This perspective could be invaluable in finding a peaceful resolution to the conflict with the Void Collective." Captain Drake nodded slowly, beginning to understand. "So you're not just looking for allies in a war. You're looking for mediators, problem solvers." "Precisely," Xanthor confirmed. "The challenges ahead will require more than brute force. They will demand innovation, diplomacy, and a fresh perspective. These are qualities that humanity possesses in abundance." Dr. Chen's mind was reeling with the implications. "This is overwhelming," she admitted. "We came here hoping to make peaceful first contact, and now we're being asked to help save the galaxy." Xanthor made a gesture that seemed apologetic. "We understand this is a lot to process. We do not expect an immediate answer. Take time to discuss among yourselves, to ask questions, to learn more about the situation and the wider galactic community." Captain Drake straightened in his chair, his expression resolute. "We appreciate your candor, Xanthor. Rest assured, we will give this matter the serious consideration it deserves. Humanity has always risen to meet great challenges, and if we can play a role in preserving peace in the galaxy, we will not shy away from that responsibility. As the meeting continued, Dr. Chen found her initial awe giving way to a burning curiosity. She peppered the Zarquin with questions about their technology, their biology, their history. Each answer only led to more questions, and she realized that a lifetime wouldn't be enough to learn all there was to know about their new alien friends. Hours passed like minutes, and by the time the initial meeting concluded, Dr. Chen felt simultaneously exhausted and exhilarated. As they were escorted back to the Odyssey, her mind was already racing with plans for the research and diplomatic initiatives that would need to be launched. Back on the ship, the human delegation gathered to discuss their next steps. The weight of their responsibility was palpable, but so was the excitement of the unprecedented opportunity before them. "Well," Captain Drake said, looking around at his crew, "it seems the future of humanity, and perhaps the entire galaxy, has just gotten a lot more interesting." Dr. Chen couldn't help but smile. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she knew that humanity would face them with the same spirit of adventure and determination that had brought them to the stars. The encounter had been just the beginning. The real journey was about to start. The crisis. The weeks following humanity's first contact with the Zarquin were a whirlwind of activity. As news of the encounter spread across Earth, the world erupted in a mixture of excitement, fear, and debate. Dr. Samantha Chen found herself at the center of it all, working tirelessly to bridge the gap between human and alien cultures. On the Zarquin space station, now dubbed Harmony by the human delegation, scientists and diplomats from both species engaged in a frenetic exchange of knowledge. Dr. Chen marveled at the advanced technology the aliens shared, while the Zarquin seemed equally fascinated by humanity's arts, philosophy, and unique approach to problem-solving. However, as the initial euphoria of first contact began to fade, tensions started to simmer beneath the surface. Captain Marcus Drake noticed it first, a subtle shift in the Zarquin's behavior. They seemed more guarded, their movements more hurried. During one of their daily briefings, he voiced his concerns to Dr. Chen. "Something's not right, Samantha," he said, his brow furrowed. "They're hiding something from us." Dr. Chen frowned. "What makes you say that?" "Call it a gut feeling," Drake replied. "They'd been restricting our access to certain areas of the station, and I've overheard snippets of conversations that cut off abruptly when humans approach." Before Dr. Chen could respond, an alarm blared through the station. Red lights flashed, and the Zarquin around them began moving with urgent purpose. Xanthor approached them, its iridescent skin pulsing with what they had learned to recognize as agitation. "We have a situation," it communicated telepathically. "A Void Collective scout ship has been detected on the edge of this system." Captain Drake's hand instinctively moved to where his sidearm would have been. "Are we in danger? Should we prepare for evacuation?" Xanthor's multifaceted eyes flickered. "Not immediately. But we must act quickly to prevent them from discovering the station, and your presence here." As they hurried to the command center, Dr. Chen's mind raced. This was the threat the Zarquin had warned them about, the synthetic beings bent on eradicating organic life. But something didn't add up. The command center was a flurry of activity. Holographic displays showed the approaching Void Collective vessel, a sleek, dark shape that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "We're activating our cloaking technology," Xanthor explained. "But there's a complication. The wormhole your ship used to arrive here has left trace particles that the Collective might detect. We need to eliminate them." Captain Drake nodded grimly. "What do you need us to do?" "We've prepared a device that can neutralize the particles," Xanthor said. "But it must be deployed manually, at the exact coordinates where your ship emerged." Dr. Chen stepped forward. "I'll go. I have the most experience with the wormhole's unique energy signature." Drake looked like he wanted to object, but nodded reluctantly. "Take Lieutenant Takahashi with you. And be careful." As Dr. Chen and Lieutenant Takahashi prepared for their mission, a sense of unease gnawed at her. The Zarquin's explanation made sense, but something about the urgency of the situation felt off. They boarded a small Zarquin shuttle, its organic-looking controls pulsing with soft light. As they approached the deployment site, Dr. Chen's scientific curiosity momentarily overcame her apprehension. "These readings are fascinating," she murmured, studying the shuttle sensors. "The wormhole left behind a unique quantum signature. It's almost like a fingerprint in space-time." Lieutenant Takahashi nodded, her eyes scanning the area around them. "Doctor, I hate to sound paranoid, but don't you think it's convenient that this Void Collective ship showed up just as we were starting to ask more probing questions?" Dr. Chen frowned. The thought had crossed her mind, but she dismissed it. Now, in the quiet of the shuttle, the doubts came flooding back. As they reached the deployment site, Dr. Chen began the process of activating the device. Her hands moved over the alien controls, following the instructions Xanthor had given her. Suddenly, Lieutenant Takahashi gasped, "Doctor, look." Dr. Chen's head snapped up. Through the shuttle's view screen, she saw a massive shaped decloak directly ahead of them. But it wasn't the Void Collective ship they'd been warned about. It was a Zarquin battlecruiser, its weapons array powering up and aimed directly at them. "This doesn't make sense," Dr. Chen whispered, her mind reeling. "Why would they?" Her words were cut off as a tractor beam seized their shuttle, pulling them inexorably towards the larger ship. Back on Harmony Station, Captain Drake paced anxiously. It had been hours since Dr. Chen and Lieutenant Takahashi had departed, and there was still no word from them. "Something's wrong," he growled, turning to Xanthor. "They should have been back by now." The alien's skin rippled with what might have been discomfort. "I'm sure they're fine, Captain. The mission was more complex than we anticipated." Drake's eyes narrowed. Years of military experience had honed his instincts, and right now, every one of them was screaming that they'd been deceived. "I want to speak with my ship," he demanded. "Now." Xanthor hesitated, then nodded to one of its subordinates. A communication channel opened, and the face of Commander Rodriguez, Drake's second-in-command, appeared on a nearby screen. "Status report," Drake barked. Rodriguez's expression was grim. "Captain, we've got a situation here. We've detected multiple Zarquin ships decloaking around us. They're jamming our long-range communications and have weapons locked on us." Drake's blood ran cold. He turned to Xanthor, his voice low and dangerous. "What the hell is going on?" The alien's mental voice was heavy with what seemed like regret. "I'm sorry, Captain. We had hoped it wouldn't come to this." In that moment, everything clicked into place. The restricted areas, the hushed conversations, the conveniently timed appearance of a non-existent threat. They'd been played. "Why?" Drake demanded. "We came here in peace. We offered you friendship, alliance. And we wished it could have been that simple." Xanthor interrupted. "But the truth is, humanity represents a threat we cannot ignore." The alien waved a limb, and a holographic display sprang to life, showing projections of Earth's technological advancement over the next century. The rate of progress was staggering, far outstripping anything the Zarquin had anticipated. "Your potential is too great," Xanthor explained. "Left unchecked, humanity would surpass us within a few generations. We cannot allow that to happen." Drake's mind raced, trying to find a way out of this nightmare. "So what now? You plan to destroy us, enslave us?" Xanthor's mental voice was calm, almost soothing. "Nothing so crude, Captain. We simply intend to guide your development, to ensure that humanity's potential is directed in a way that benefits the galactic community, under our supervision, of course." Like hell, Drake spat. In one fluid motion, he grabbed a nearby Zarquin device, something he'd seen them use as a data pad, and smashed it against the console. Alarms blared as sparks flew. Chaos erupted in the command center. Drake used the confusion to make a break for it, running full tilt towards the section of the station where human quarters had been established. He had to warn his crew, had to find a way to contact Earth. As he ran, his mind was already formulating plans. The Zarquin had underestimated humanity once. He'd make damn sure they wouldn't make that mistake again. Meanwhile, light years away, Dr. Chen and Lieutenant Takahashi found themselves in a sterile holding cell aboard the Zarquin battlecruiser. The gravity felt slightly off, and a faint humming permeated the air. "I can't believe we fell for it," Takahashi said, pacing the small space. "We should have seen this coming." Dr. Chen sat on the floor, her back against the wall, eyes closed in concentration. "Maybe we should have. But recriminations won't help us now. We need to focus on finding a way out of here. And warning Earth." Takahashi paused, looking at the scientist with newfound respect. "You have a plan." A small smile played at the corners of Dr. Chen's mouth. "Not yet, but they brought us here because they underestimated us. That's their mistake, and our advantage." As if on cue, the cell door slid open. A Zarquin entered, its skin shimmering with an emotion they couldn't quite identify. "Dr. Chen," it communicated, "your presence is required in the research lab. We have questions about human physiology." As she stood to follow, Dr. Chen exchanged a quick glance with Takahashi. The Zarquin's request was both a threat and an opportunity. Whatever happened next would determine not just their fate, but potentially the future of humanity itself. The crisis had begun, but if there was one thing humans excelled at, it was overcoming impossible odds. The Zarquin were about to learn that lesson the hard way. The ingenuity. Captain Marcus Drake's heart pounded as he raced through the corridors of Harmony Station. Alarms blared, and he could hear the sound of pursuit not far behind. He needed a plan, and fast. As he rounded a corner, he nearly collided with Dr. Aisha Patel, the expedition's xenobiologist. Her eyes widened in surprise and confusion. "Captain, what's going on?" she asked, taking in his disheveled appearance. "No time to explain fully," Drake panted. "The Zarquin have betrayed us. We need to warn Earth and find a way off this station." Dr. Patel's scientific mind quickly shifted gears. "The communication lab," she said. "I was just there. It's not far, and it has direct access to the station's main antenna array." Drake nodded grimly. "Lead the way." As they hurried through the station, Drake filled Dr. Patel in on the situation. Her face paled, but her steps remained steady. "Here," she said, stopping at an unmarked door. She pressed her hand to a sensor, and the door slid open, revealing a room filled with advanced communication equipment. Drake moved quickly to what looked like the main console. "Can you operate this?" he asked. Dr. Patel nodded, her fingers already flying over the alien controls. "I've been studying their communication protocols. Give me a minute." As she worked, Drake kept watch at the door. The sound of approaching Zarquin grew louder. "We don't have a minute," he warned. "Got it," Dr. Patel exclaimed. A holographic display sprang to life, showing a connection to the Odyssey. "It's not perfect, but it should work. Hurry." Drake leaned towards the communication array. "Odyssey, this is Captain Drake. Initiate Protocol Omega. I repeat, initiate Protocol Omega. The Zarquin are hostile. Warn Earth. We'll try to." The door burst open. Zarquin security forces flooded into the room, their weapons trained on Drake and Dr. Patel. Xanthor entered last, its multifaceted eyes gleaming with what might have been admiration. "Impressive, Captain, but futile. We've already jammed all outgoing signals." Drake straightened, meeting the alien's gaze defiantly. "You underestimate us, Xanthor. That's going to be your downfall." Meanwhile, aboard the Zarquin battlecruiser, Dr. Samantha Chen was escorted into what appeared to be a highly advanced research laboratory. The room was filled with equipment she could barely comprehend, pulsing with energy and light. A Zarquin scientist approached, its skin shimmering with barely contained excitement. "Dr. Chen," it communicated telepathically. We have so many questions about human biology. Your species' ability to adapt to extreme environments is fascinating. Chen's scientific curiosity warred with her sense of self-preservation. She knew she was in danger, but the opportunity to learn was almost overwhelming. "I'd be happy to discuss human biology," she said carefully, "but I have questions of my own. Starting with why you've taken us prisoner." The Zarquin scientist's skin rippled in what Chen had come to recognize as discomfort. "It's complicated. Our leaders believe humanity's potential is too great to be left unchecked, but many of us disagree with the methods being employed." Chen's mind raced. Could there be a divide among the Zarquin? A potential avenue for negotiation? Before she could pursue that line of thought, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. The Zarquin scientist's skin pulsed rapidly with agitation. "Impossible," it muttered. "How did they?" The lab doors slid open, revealing Lieutenant Sarah Takahashi. She was wielding what looked like a makeshift weapon cobbled together from alien technology. "Doctor," Takahashi called out, "we need to move. Now." As Chen ran towards the door, she grabbed a nearby data pad. It might contain valuable information, if they survived long enough to study it. "What's happening?" Chen asked as they raced through the ship's corridors. Takahashi grinned, a fierce light in her eyes. "Let's just say the Zarquin aren't the only ones who can be sneaky. I managed to access their computer systems and initiate a cascading failure in their power grid. We got about 10 minutes before emergency systems kick in." Chen shook her head in amazement. "How did you manage that?" "You remember those gaming marathons the crew used to have? Turns out, Zarquin computer security isn't that different from some of the puzzle games we played. Pattern recognition, lateral thinking. It all came in handy." They reached a hangar bay where several small Zarquin shuttles were docked. Takahashi moved to the nearest one, her hands moving confidently over the controls. "You can fly this thing?" Chen asked incredulously. Takahashi shrugged. "I've been watching them. How different can it be from the simulators back home? Now strap in. This might get bumpy." As the shuttle lifted off, alarms still blaring around them, Chen couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. Humanity's adaptability and quick thinking were proving to be their greatest assets. Back on Harmony Station, Captain Drake and Dr. Patel found themselves in a holding cell, similar to the one Chen and Takahashi had escaped from. But Drake wasn't about to give up. "We need to think like them," he mused, pacing the small space. "What would the Zarquin never expect us to do?" Dr. Patel's eyes lit up. "Captain, do you remember the cultural exchange sessions we had? The Zarquin were particularly intrigued by human music." Drake nodded slowly, beginning to see where she was going. "They said something about how our harmonies were unlike anything they'd encountered before." "Exactly," Patel said excitedly. "Their auditory perception is far more sensitive than ours. What if we could use that to our advantage?" Drake grinned. "Doctor, I think you might be onto something. But how do we generate the right kind of sound?" Patel looked around the cell, her mind working furiously. The cell's force field, if we could modulate its frequency. Together, they set to work, using nothing but their voices and the rhythmic tapping of their hands against the cell walls. They began to create a complex series of harmonics. It was a long shot, but it was all they had. Minutes passed, feeling like hours. Then suddenly, the force field flickered and died. "I don't believe it," Drake muttered. It actually worked. They wasted no time, slipping out of the cell and making their way through the station. As they moved, they noticed something odd. The Zarquin they encountered seemed disoriented, almost drunk. The harmonics, Patel realized. They're affecting the Zarquin's equilibrium. Drake nodded grimly. "Then let's make some noise." As they progressed through the station, they began to sing. It was an old Earth melody, simple but powerful. Other human crew members, hearing the song, joined in. The effect on the Zarquin was immediate and dramatic. Many collapsed, overwhelmed by the unfamiliar harmonies. They reached the main hangar bay, where the Odyssey was docked. As they boarded their ship, Drake couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of it all. "We just sang our way to freedom," he said, shaking his head in disbelief. Dr. Paddle smiled. "Sometimes the best solutions are the ones no one sees coming." As the Odyssey detached from the station, they were met with an unexpected sight. A small Zarquin shuttle was approaching, piloted by none other than Lieutenant Takahashi, with Dr. Chen by her side. Once everyone was safely aboard, Drake ordered an immediate jump to hyperspace. As the stars stretched into lines around them, the crew gathered on the bridge, each sharing their part of the incredible story. Dr. Chen held up the alien data pad she'd managed to grab. "Captain, I think I know why the Zarquin were so afraid of us. This contains data on their long-term predictions for various species. Humanity's potential growth rate is, well, it's off the charts." Drake nodded thoughtfully. "They saw us as a threat because they couldn't understand us. Our unpredictability, our ability to find solutions in the most unlikely places, that's what scares them." "So what do we do now?" Takahashi asked. "The Zarquin know where Earth is. They'll be coming for us." A slow smile spread across Drake's face. Now we do what humans do best. We adapt. We prepare. And when they come, we show them exactly why they were right to be afraid. Not of our threat, but of our potential for greatness." As the Odyssey raced towards Earth, carrying its warning and newfound knowledge, the crew felt a mix of apprehension and excitement. They had faced their first major galactic crisis and emerged victorious through ingenuity, teamwork, and the uniquely human ability to think outside the box. The journey ahead would be challenging, but they were ready. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger universe, and they had no intention of turning back now. The Alliance. The Odyssey's return to Earth sparked a global crisis unlike anything humanity had ever faced. As Captain Marcus Drake and his crew briefed world leaders on the Zarquin threat, governments around the planet scrambled to prepare for a potential alien invasion. Dr. Samantha Chen found herself working around the clock, analyzing the data she'd managed to retrieve from the Zarquin ship. The more she studied, the more she realized the complexity of the situation. "It's not as simple as us versus them," she explained during a high-level meeting at the United Nations. "The Zarquin aren't a monolithic entity. There are factions among them, some of which seemed sympathetic to us." Admiral Helena Vega, newly appointed head of Earth's Defense Initiative, leaned forward. "Are you suggesting we could find allies among the Zarquin?" Chen nodded cautiously. "It's possible, but we need to act fast. The faction that sees us as a threat is currently in power, and they're not likely to wait long before making their move." As the meeting continued, discussing strategies and contingencies, a junior officer burst into the room, his face pale. "Madam President," he said, addressing the leader of the United States, "we're detecting multiple objects entering the solar system at high speed. It's them. The Zarquin have arrived." The room erupted into controlled chaos as leaders rushed to enact emergency protocols. But amidst the frenzy, Dr. Chen noticed Captain Drake standing quietly, a thoughtful expression on his face. "Captain," she asked, "you look like you have an idea." Drake nodded slowly. "Maybe I do, but it's risky. Very risky." Within hours, as Zarquin ships took up positions around Earth, a plan was set in motion. It was audacious, perhaps even foolhardy, but it was quintessentially human. As the Zarquin fleet approached, they were met not with military resistance, but with a broadcast. On every frequency, in every language, Earth sent out a message. "People of Earth, and our Zarquin visitors, we stand at a crossroads. We invite the Zarquin leadership to join us for open, peaceful negotiations. Let us bridge the gap of misunderstanding together." The message was accompanied by something unexpected: music. The same harmonies that had disoriented the Zarquin on Harmony Station now flooded space, but with a crucial difference. Interwoven with the human melodies were alien harmonics, creating a haunting, beautiful fusion of two worlds. Aboard the Zarquin flagship, Xanthor listened in stunned silence. The humans had somehow managed to incorporate Zarquin tonal patterns into their music, creating something entirely new. It was breathtaking. How? Xanthor whispered. How could they have learned our harmonics so quickly? Next to Xanthor, a younger Zarquin named Zillura spoke up. Perhaps this is why the predictive models showed their potential for growth as so high. Their ability to adapt, to synthesize new ideas. It's remarkable. Xanthor's multifaceted eyes flickered with uncertainty. The invasion plan had seemed so clear, so necessary. But now, open a channel, Xanthor ordered. I will speak with their leaders. On Earth, in a hastily prepared conference room, Captain Drake stood with Dr. Chen, Admiral Vega, and a host of world leaders. As the Zarquin delegation materialized via hologram, tension filled the air. Xanthor spoke first. Humans, your response to our arrival is unexpected. President Emilio Rodriguez stepped forward. Xanthor, esteemed Zarquin, we understand your fears, but we ask you to look beyond them, to see the potential for cooperation rather than conflict. What followed was a negotiation unlike any in human history. For hours, the two species engaged in a frank, often heated discussion about their places in the galaxy, their fears, and their hopes. Dr. Chen, drawing on her scientific expertise and her experiences with the Zarquin, played a crucial role. She highlighted the areas where human and Zarquin knowledge could complement each other, painting a picture of a future where both species could thrive. Your predictive models show humanity's potential for rapid advancement, she argued. But have you considered that this growth could benefit the Zarquin as well? Our adaptability, our unique way of approaching problems. These could be assets in facing galactic threats like the Void Collective. As the negotiations progressed, a surprising ally emerged. Zillura, the young Zarquin who had marveled at the human music, began to advocate passionately for cooperation. We have long prided ourselves on our advanced civilization, Zillura said, addressing both humans and Zarquin. But in our certainty, we have become rigid. The humans offer us a chance to see the universe through fresh eyes, to rediscover the wonder and creativity that drove our own ancestors to the stars. Slowly, incrementally, the mood in the room began to shift. The Zarquin leaders, initially skeptical, found themselves intrigued by the humans' proposals. The humans, for their part, demonstrated an eagerness to learn and a willingness to share their own unique insights. As dawn broke over the horizon, casting the conference room in a soft, hopeful light, a historic agreement was reached. The Zarquin would not only cease their plans for invasion, but would enter into a partnership with humanity. We will guide your development, Xanthor declared, not through control, but through cooperation. And in turn, we hope to learn from you, to rediscover the spark of innovation that you possess in such abundance. The alliance that formed in those crucial hours would reshape the galactic landscape. Human scientists and engineers began working alongside Zarquin experts, tackling problems that had long stymied both species. The first joint project, a revolutionary new defense system to counter the threat of the Void Collective. In the months that followed, Earth became a hub of interstellar activity. Zarquin ships became a common sight in the skies, and human music found an enthusiastic audience among the alien visitors. Cultural exchanges flourished, with humans and Zarquin alike discovering new ways of looking at the universe. Dr. Samantha Chen, now heading the newly established Interspecies Scientific Cooperative, couldn't help but smile as she watched a group of human and Zarquin children playing together in a park. They were building an elaborate structure, combining Zarquin crystalline technology with good old-fashioned earth mud. Quite a sight, isn't it? Captain Drake said, joining her. Chen nodded. If you had told me a year ago that this is where we'd end up, I'd have said you were crazy. Drake chuckled. That's humanity for you. always defying expectations. As they stood there, watching the future unfold before them, a message came through on Chen's communicator. It was from the Joint Human-Zarquin Deep Space Monitoring Station. "Dr. Chen," the excited voice said, "we've detected a signal. Well, it's like nothing we've ever seen before. We think it might be a new species, maybe even more than one." Chen and Drake exchanged a look, excitement and determination shining in their eyes. The galaxy was vast, full of wonders and dangers alike. But with their new allies by their side, humanity was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As the sun set on another day of this new era, the first notes of a new symphony drifted through the air. Human and Zarquin musicians played side by side, their melodies intertwining in complex harmonies that spoke of hope, of adventure, and of the infinite possibilities that lay among the stars. The crisis had been averted, transformed into an opportunity for growth and understanding. Humanity had taken its place on the galactic stage, not through conquest or submission, but through the very qualities that made them unique: their creativity, their adaptability, and their unquenchable spirit of exploration. As night fell and the stars emerged, twinkling with the promise of new worlds and new civilizations, one thing was certain: the greatest adventure in human history was just beginning.